Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Consented Narrative. We're looking at Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. Now, this book is first of all, it's exactly what it says on the cover. The narrator basically tells you how everybody in the family has ended up killing someone, and sometimes it's not in the way that you think, and it's not like everybody's a murderer, but somebody is like everybody has killed someone, which is quite good. So there's a family reunion, and it's the Cunningham family reunion, and they're in this you could kind of see it coming, it's quite funny, in this lovely, ski slopes, and while they're there, there's a blizzard going on and someone is murdered. Ta-da! But what I love is you've got your main guy, and as he's telling you the story, he basically he subverts everything. So it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm just going to tell you now that this person that's throwing up, it's not because she's pregnant. That's not going to be a big reveal later on. And then carries on telling the story, or going, oh yeah, and I'm going to tell you now, like, you think you figured this out, but I'm telling you because of this, this, and this. And it's so good because it's almost like, when you sat there staring at the TV and like this thing's going on, you're like, well, they've shown a knife, so clearly they're going to go back to that knife, and that knife's going to kill somebody. It's interesting having that narrator who's going, yes, I'm just telling you now, like, I may have said this, but this does not mean that what you think it means. It's such a cliche. And it follows this family reunion, and it's got like serial killer elements into it as well, because it's, you've got the serial killer, the Black Tongue, who kills their victims with like ash, which was an old torture method, which I didn't know, and it's interesting to know, and it seems a bit redundant as a way to kill. It seems like a really long, but apparently it's torture for the people, so whatever. But every time it's kind of going, oh yeah, so this is what this person did, and this is what this, and this is how this worked out. And I love that, like, in the book, it says it pretty early on, and again, I never spoil the endings, but it says pretty early on that, and this lodge has a library, so when I tell everyone who the killer is, I'll be doing so in the library, as any good murder mystery. And it made me chuckle. Like, it's dark humor, I would say. There are a few deaths, so you're not disappointed. And it's quite funny because literally straight away, he's like, there'll be deaths on this page, this page, this page, and this page. And you're like, oh, okay. And it doesn't disappoint. And when you find out who the killer is and how each family member has killed someone and how all the pieces fit together, it doesn't seem convoluted. It doesn't seem like someone's trying to outthink themselves. It just feels like as if I was to sit down and go, right, okay, so this is what's happening in this book. I'm not going to say X, Y, and Z because you're going to assume X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to say 2 and 2 because you're going to say 4 and it should be 5. Do you know what I mean? And it's just good to have that narration. And I think Benjamin Stevenson's done that really well because you sat there with the author. And I chuckled a couple of times. I'm not going to lie. You might not. But I'm just saying, like, my husband has a really, like, dark sense of humor as well. And, like, when we're watching horror films, when people get killed in, like, gruesome and brilliantly envisioned ways, he does chuckle, and I feel like that's rubbing off on me a little bit. I have been with him 11 years, that could be why. But there were a couple of bits where, like, he'd say something of like, oh yeah, I'd have definitely thought that. And it is just a great way of the way that he was sort of telling the story, and the narrator that he picked, and all of this. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It gets a 4 out of 5 from me. And honestly, I kind of guessed the killer quite early on. I'm not gonna lie to you. I genuinely was like, oh, it's this person. This is the killer. Like, I couldn't quite figure out what the motive was until about 2/3 of the way through. So I'll give him that. It took me a while to figure out what the motive was, but the killer I did get quite early on, because it did seem a little bit like, even with our narrator going, oh, this is this and this and this, I was like, this is why. But if you guess the killer and the motive straight away, if you figured out like everything like that, please let me know. Try not to leave it in the comments on this video though, because sometimes if people are looking at the comments, it might give away the spoiler of the book. So you can comment on another video. I know my dad typically does that. When he's read a book, he'll comment on the next video, so it doesn't spoil the one before, which is quite good. But please let me know if you read it, let me know if you enjoy it, let me know if there's any other kind of books very similar to that. But you know I love good murder mystery, you know I love a good whodunit. Thank you so much for your continued support. Please share with friends and family, you know, let me know if there's anything that I can do, any books, book to film adaptations. And remember to always keep it contento.